So, I've seen you around. At the fights. I've seen you at the press tables, and now I see you on TV while I'm working out. What's that like? Are you enjoying that?
Firstly, it's working.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Thank you.
Shit, mate. It's good, mate. Getting into rugby mostly. Like, it used to be a lot of boxing, but then rugby came with opportunity, and it meant travel around the world and those kind of things. So I had to go, what am I going to do here? So I went with rugby more than the fight sports in my career, and ended up at Sky and having a chance to host a rugby show and do those kind of things. So
is that where your passion lies, with rugby?
Rugby and cricket were always my passion, and boxing as well. But yeah, cricket was probably my favourite sport, but there's not as much opportunity professionally there. And boxing is always an absolute passion, but same thing. Rugby's where the money is, rugby's where the opportunity is. So, you've got to follow your dreams in one of the ways,
Do you ever get starstruck meeting these guys? I still always get starstruck meeting Parker. I don't know.
Yeah. Joe's pretty laid back, isn't he? So, he's cool. There's the odd person you meet along the way, that you go, wow. Especially, I think, for me, foreign players and foreign fighters, when you get that chance to meet them. I remember the first time, and I know Mark Hunter's local, but he lives overseas. The first time I met Mark Hunt, and I was like, whoa, this is Mark Hunt. Like, I know what those hands do. Yeah. I know one punch, and an amazing time where we went back to his home, his initial child home, and he told me the stories of his upbringing from his child's home, and that was a real privilege to have that moment with him. But cricketers, Waka Yunus, I was starstruck. Curtly Ambrose, I was starstruck. Rugby players, I've had the privilege to spend time with Dan Carter and Richie McCaw, but I think because you see them so often, Sonny, not quite as starstruck with the local boys as the people you don't get the chance to see all the time.
Have you met Virat Kohli and stuff?
No, I haven't met Virat Kohli, but I think I've been in press conferences with Sachin and things like that. So you do get your chance to see some of the big boys and ask them some questions and find out how things work.
So, the first time I've seen Sonny Bull, he's such a unit, he's such a big, all black.
Yeah.
How do you see, there's a lot of, rugby players that have started boxing now, but how do you rate Sonny?
Look, Sonny, I think, has the athleticism to be a great boxer. He's jumped in and out of it in his fights over the years, right? 10 fights, but that's happened well over a decade. So he's always had another career on the side. So to be able to have time this time, I think, for him, to go up to the Gold Coast and not be thinking, but I've also got to go to rugby training, or, I've got to be in shape for this, to have a serious focus on this fight. And one thing that I'll tell you about Sonny is that he's committed, very committed. I remember when he was in the All Black Sevens and he was about to go to the Olympics and he had an injury, and he was telling me about how he would be getting up at 2 a.m. to stretch because he needed to do that for his injury. That's how committed he is. Like, he sets his alarm for 2, then 5 to get up and make sure he gets that protein in, and then goes back to bed, and then he's so committed. He's also not afraid to take a risk. Like, if you think about when he left the Bulldogs and went to French rugby and then came to the All Blacks and left the All Blacks, he's willing to make a big, bold call. And I think as an athlete, as a guy like him going into his final fight, as committed as he is to leave his family for a month, as willing as he is to take a risk, and when you look at him as an athletic specimen, he has the ability to beat Gallen.
Because his legacy is sealed, right? In all black, he's won all these things. To fight in in front of the world where you could get knocked out. It speaks volumes, right, about how he's prepared to face challenges.
Yeah, he's 100% prepared to face challenges, and he will look to balance his life out, but in the end, he'll do what he needs to do to overcome that thing, tick that box, and move on to the next challenge in front of him.
So, break it down. How do you see this fight going?
Well, I think Sonny said before, obviously he's got length and reach. He's 191 centimetres to, I think, 178. So he's going to be fighting on the outside. And Gallen's going to be trying to get on the inside. And Gallen's, he's a pretty tough customer, isn't he? He can take a punch. He's a brawler. And if Sonny can handle that and be able to get his shots in, get out, and dominate the ring, I suppose, move around, make sure that the space is his, you know what I mean? And he's not getting backed up into a corner and being pushed and pushed and pushed. I think that Sonny's got a good chance of winning it. But, one punch. Gallen is a monster. He's powerful. He can throw. He's short. He's like a tank. And there's a lot of guys, I think, around the boxing scene, if you think like a guy like Hemi Ahi or someone like that who's got that stature, a little bit shorter, a little bit stockier, you can't afford to give them that one chance, especially as you get on in the rounds and you're starting to tire, you know. So that's probably Gallen's chance, is to force him into those middle rounds and then try to clock him. And we saw against Mark Hunt that he can be put down. And I think Honey's pretty realistic about the fact that this is a 50-50 fight in that way, because the styles are so varied. You can see either way go, and if he can keep his distance, keep his calm, get in his shots where he needs to, then I can't see why he couldn't win. If it was him, I think we're looking at more likely a points victory, and if it's Gallen, we're probably looking more likely at a knockout.
One more question. So Joseph Parker, he's now, he's the interim WBO champ. How do you see a fight going between either Usyk or Dubois?
Sure, that's tough. I mean, Usyk's a fighter. Yeah, Usyk's a fighter. So, in that case, Joseph's never going into that fighter's favourite. Joe's got what it takes. He's certainly, I think, since leaving Kevin Barry, developed his game significantly. And we're seeing a different Joseph, a fitter Joseph, a stronger Joseph, probably a smarter Joseph in the ring. When I think back when he was fighting with Kevin, he spent a lot of time looking back to the corner to find out what Kevin needs him to do. And I think now when you look at him, he's more assured of himself in who he needs to be as a fighter, whether that's because Andy Rose given him that empowerment or whether that's from experience. He's a different human being inside the ring. So he's in with a chance, and he's going to go the distance. That gives him that chance because he's got that chin. Dubois, I think, he can beat Dubois. Usyk, that's a bigger challenge because that guy he's something else.
Awesome. All right, Ross, thanks for your time. Appreciate it, and looking forward, to seeing you on TV more often. Keep it up, man.
It's very, very good to see you.
Thank you, Ross.
Cheers.